Hey guys, welcome back to Money is Blind podcast. I'm your host Prasoon. This is the show where you will learn how to become successful online entrepreneurs even if you are blind or visually impaired. So I've been doing this for the last 7 years. I have multiple businesses and I'm legally blind. I was not born blind, but some things changed inside my retina, some cells, and here I am sitting in my study room recording this podcast for you guys because ever since the diagnosis was made, I changed my life. But that has happened just because of the fact that I was able to start my own online businesses. It is definitely possible to start your own brick and mortar offline businesses, but it'll be much more difficult. That's what I think. But I really want to try that out in the future. I'll be doing that as well. I have plans. I'll be disclosing my plans in the coming episodes. But today, I have to tell you how Siri can help blind and visually impaired persons. So, you might be using Siri in your iPhone. She is a voice assistant. I use a female voice, and that's why I call Siri female. If you are a female, you might be using a male voice, and in your case, Siri might be a male. So, last week I did an episode on my favorite voiceover voices. I have never used Siri voices in voiceover, but for the last 1 week I've been using it and it is good. Inflections, it is a bit more human like, and yeah, that's why I'm starting to like it. But I have to keep down the speaking rate to 65% because otherwise I'm going to miss some of the things that Siri is going to dictate. So I'm okay with reducing the speaking rate because I've been used to hearing using voiceover at 85 90% sometimes, and now when it is 65% it seems a bit slow, but it is okay because the quality of voice kind of makes up for the reduction in the speaking rate. Back to the topic, Siri was first launched by Apple in 2011. It's like 12 years now, in 2023. 12 years ago, Siri was launched, and since then, Siri has been helping the blind and visually impaired community in multiple, I should say, hundreds and thousands of ways. So, what are the favorite ways you use your Siri in your iPhone? You can send me a voice message and I might use your voice clips in the future episodes. So don't hesitate, speak up so that I can listen to your voice, our audience can listen to your voice and they can get more value from this show. If you want to send me voice messages, just visit website Spotify for podcasters, and there you can search for Money is Blind, and there you can send it. It is easy. You just need to submit your name, your email address, and that's it. I use Siri very often, but not as often as Alexa. I'm saying this in a low tone because I don't want to activate Alexa. So Siri is always there with me in my pocket. I don't always carry iPhone in my pocket because of other health reasons. I like to carry it in my hand, and no, I don't carry it in my pocket. So it is always there with me whenever I want to know the time. If voiceover is not on, if internet is not available, Siri won't work. But there are so many other instances where Siri has been helpful to find a contact, to know the weather, to find out the exact date or 2 3 years ago. Do you know the day when you were born? It might be 30 40 years back, but do you know the day? You can just ask Siri and she will tell you. It's not just Siri, you can ask any voice assistant and it will tell you. It's that cool. My son, he does his homework, math homeworks using Siri. He cheats. Yeah. He asks Siri the solution when I give him sums and subtractions. Sometimes he cheats and gives me the right answer, but when I ask him how he did it, he doesn't have an answer, and that's how I know he cheated. So in this episode, I'm going to tell you 15 ways you can use Siri because it'll be helpful. And if you have an Android phone, don't worry, guys. You can always use Google Assistant because I think Google Assistant is much more useful than Siri. So I'll be making a separate episode about Google Assistant. So if you don't want to miss out that episode, consider subscribing right now. Yeah, do it. I'm waiting. I'll count till 3. Your time is up. Okay. So let's come to the first point. It is emergency. You can call your emergency phone number by asking Siri. In the new iOS updates, you can just press and hold the lock button key to activate emergency call. But you have to change some settings in the settings app in order to activate that. But I think it will be better if you use Siri. Even if it is fire, ambulance, medical, health, 911, any number in your country, Siri can help you out. You can use Siri to manage messages and phone conversations. I use this very often. Whenever I have multiple messages which are unread, I just ask Siri to read out my messages, and she starts reading this thing out one message at a time, and she keeps on going, and she often asks me whether I should keep continuing, whether I should read the next 5 messages or not. It's up to you, you can decide. Really helpful. You don't even have to unlock your iPhone to do this. And managing your phone conversations, you can ask questions like who called me yesterday. It works. If you haven't tried it, you should. You can start calls by asking Siri to make the call for you. You don't have to open the phone's app, go to contacts, type in the person's name, find the contact, and then tap on the call button. You can just press and hold Siri, or in my case, it is the lock button, and activate Siri and ask her to call my wife, my mother, any contact. But remember this, you should have saved the contact exactly the way you are asking Siri to call that contact, right? If it is a name, ask Siri to call that name. I hope you get my point. It's even helpful when it comes to voicemails. So here in India, we use voicemails very little, but I have seen Siri being used to read, to listen to voicemails, to send voicemails. It works. It definitely works. It even works to make FaceTime audio calls and video calls. Have you guys ever tried it? But the other guy, the other person whom you are calling, they should also have an iPhone to do this. Now in iOS 16, I think Apple has introduced this feature where you can send a FaceTime link even to Android users, and they can join the call in their mobile phone. Even if it is Android, they can open Google Chrome or any other web browser, and then it is difficult for them. Apple is literally trying to make them switch over to Apple by giving them this opportunity to use FaceTime. So it works. It is difficult for the other person, the Android user, but it does work. So you can ask Siri to find the contact and make a FaceTime call, so you don't have to worry about the carrier charges. You can also use Siri to send messages. I've done this even with medicines, sending prescription drugs to my relatives. Yeah, it works even for that. I just need to ask Siri to send a voice message. No, it's not a voice message. I usually send it as text messages. I just say tab albendazole 400 milligram twice daily for 3 days, and the text message would be ready. She would ask, is it ready? Can she send it? And if you have any edits to make, you can do it. And if it is ready, you can just go ahead and send the message. You don't even have to open the messages app to do this. Scheduling meetings and conference calls, that's super useful feature which I use Siri very often. So you just have to create a calendar event. You need to install the Apple Calendar to do this. It even works with Google Calendar, but sometimes it misses out. You can create calendar events, set reminders, create new notes, make new reminder. You can do all these things with Siri without opening the app. It works with your voice. You can ask Siri for any events. If there are any events scheduled for tomorrow, you can ask any specific date. You don't even have to open the calendar app and go through these dates. Ask Siri for the calendar events and she will help you out. Making notes is something which I use very often because our brain seems to be like working like a sponge. If you don't say what you are thinking right now, if you have an idea, convert it into a text format, into write it on a paper, or even simpler, make it a note in your iPhone. So if you are lazy, if you don't want to open up the notes and type with voiceover keyboards, just ask Siri to make a new note and your idea is there. It is not lost. Now, when you have time, you can go through all those single line, two line notes that you have created and then sort it out, organize it, move it to the right folder, and get started from there. It is very, very helpful, and I use this feature very often. You can also use Siri to post directly to Facebook and Twitter. I don't use this very often, but it was a feature which was introduced back in iOS 7. From the days I've been using my iPhone 5, this feature was available. Nowadays, who uses Facebook? Everybody has migrated to Instagram. Twitter, yes, I do often use it, but there are many changes in Twitter. So I open up the Twitter app and tweet from there. I don't use Siri. You can use Siri to open Apple Maps and get directions. But I think it works in an area if Apple Apps is updated. It works best in your area. In India, Apple Maps is not updated when compared to Google Maps, and so I don't use this feature much. You can ask Siri for finding local businesses and restaurants, petrol pumps, hospitals. This also works great if Apple Maps is updated in your area. If you are in the US, in European countries, you can definitely use this feature because Apple Maps would be updated there. In India, we use Google Maps, so I don't use this feature. But if you have an Android phone, you can definitely use your Google Assistant and she will help you out. It works seamlessly. You can ask Siri to play a specific music, and another big one, to identify a music. I take my son to his dance classes, and when I listen to a song there, it makes us dance. It makes our toes to tap, and I just want to find out which song that is. So I ask Siri. Siri first asked me to wait so that she can listen to the song, and Shazam, that's the app that Apple has acquired to find out, to identify the songs, and usually within 3 to 5 seconds I have the name of the song. So that's another really useful way how I use Siri to identify songs. To play music, I have three apps installed on my iPhone. I have Spotify, I have Geo7, and I have Amazon Music. I used to be a member of Apple Music, but I stopped using it. So if you are an avid podcast listener, because you listen to Money is Blind podcast, right? So if you listen to other podcasts, you can just say the name of the podcast and ask Siri to play it. She will open up the app and start playing the latest episode from the beginning, the ones that you haven't heard, and you don't have to go find that episode and play there. Siri can do everything for you. Making lists is something that Siri does fantastically. Making list is something else which Siri does very good. I should say my shopping list, my reminders, everything can be put into one list and Siri can do it easily, faster, and it can make your life easier. So other things, other tricks and hacks using Siri to make mathematical calculations, multiplying huge numbers, finding out the decimal points, the square roots often comes up in our life. So you can use Siri to do it. Searching the web. So yesterday I was listening to Andrew Huberman's podcast and I heard about David Goggins. I wanted to know who David Goggins was, and Siri helped out. So apparently David Goggins is a retired veteran Navy SEAL, and he is a motivational speaker, an author, an ultra marathon runner. He is a health freak. I've seen some of his videos after that, and God, he is unique. So you can search anything in the web in Google by asking Siri. She will do the Google search and she can read out the result for you. You can ask the meanings of words, English words that you don't know. You can ask about persons, general knowledge questions, current affairs. I ask Siri to get updates from the Barclays Premier League, which I follow. Yeah, Arsenal was the club. They were bound to win the title this year, but as usual, they lost it. Now there's no chance that Arsenal is going to win the Barclays Premier League title this year. So we have to wait again, and the wait continues. I also use Siri to get latest news, but not always. I have dedicated news apps, the stocks, weather, sport news, everything else. It works with Siri. So there are so many things that you can do with Siri. These were some that I use. This episode is getting lengthy, and so I'm cutting it short. So you can tell me how you use Siri in your iPhone by sending me voice messages. You can also go to www.moneyisblind.com and contact me there. All right, guys, talk to you tomorrow. Take care. Bye bye.